Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Alex Awila of Love University. And I'm back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week we talk about how to love yourself, others, and a higher nature, how to improve your finances, career, health, relationships, and spirituality. And we have a very interesting guest today, Ann Abel, just like Cain and Abel, she told me, who's a writer, mental health survivor, and a devoted Bruce Springsteen fan, whose memoir, High Hopes, talks about her unexpected transformation at age 60. After decades of severe depression, she all of a sudden took off on a spontaneous solo travel journey by herself to Australia to follow Bruce Springsteen and his concerts. And it kind of transformed her. She had a spiritual awakening, and she wrote a book about it. And it's radiated a lot of positive energy and curiosity and accolades. Welcome, Ann, to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I don't know that it was spiritual. It wasn't a spiritual. It was the beginning. It was the beginning of my self-awakening.
I see. Okay. But we consider that spiritual if it's something beyond yourself, something that transformed you. But tell me a little bit about your background. I was reading your book, and it's very interesting. You were basically teaching developmental English and to 26-year-old, rock veteran, and you said they started cursing at you and throwing desks at you.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that particular day. It was just the straw that broke, not to use a cliche, but
sure.
It was the fifth week of a semester. I'd been there 5 years. It was it was what kept me going, was teaching
right
at this school. And I just had this horrible class, and I went to the head of the department. He's like, yeah, it happens sometimes, blah, blah, blah. And then one day, and he said, write reports to the Judiciary Committee for these students. So the previous weekend I spent, and he said it takes several hours. And then that Monday morning, what does the Judiciary Committee do? They send these 3 very angry students emails saying that a complaint's been lodged and that they're going to have to come before the committee in 6 weeks. So they come to school that Monday morning. They are very angry, and it just went from bad to worse. And toward the end of the class, when the student, it wasn't the first time, he threw a desk at me. Wow. And, I walked out. I sent them home 10 minutes early, waited till there were a lot of people in the corridor. So I just walked out the door. It was October, noon on a beautiful October afternoon in the sun. And I just thought, you know what? I deserve better than this. I am never coming back here. And I had this momentary empowerment, but as soon as I was in my car heading home, I was panicking because I was terrified that with my kids were grown, my husband travels without the structure and focus of the classroom, I'd slide back into the. No, I had a year earlier my 3rd regimen of ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. I mean, this is pretty severe. You have to be pretty depressed to do that. And the last time had been a disaster. I lost my memory. We had to stop it halfway through. I didn't remember the July wedding of my son and daughter-in-law. So I wasn't doing that again. And a year earlier, my son and daughter-in-law had come to visit so they could go to a Bruce Springsteen concert. I didn't want to go, but at the last minute, I decided to go just so
before I get to that, I want to get to that special highlight. But going back, you said you had severe depression, electroconvulsive therapy, electrical stimulation. I think you said TMS, magnetic stimulation.
Everything.
And first of all, why so extreme? Were you suicidal? Were there psychotic episodes?
No. I was never, there's lots of different depressions. I was never suicidal.
Okay, never suicidal.
But
okay.
I just, I don't know if I have time to describe severe depression, but you just have nothing in you.
Right.
You feel like a loser. You have
hopeless
no energy.
And helpless. Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think that? I mean, do you have a difficult childhood?
Yeah, I had very difficult parents till the day they died 5 years ago, and that was a huge cloud lifter. Yeah, they were very, they were very physically to some degree, and also and just emotionally. And all I wanted to do was, because that's what happened. I was never a rebellious. It goes either way. I just wanted to please them. That's all I wanted to do.
So you've had this suffering life until age almost 59, I think you said, and they went to a Bruce Springsteen concert, and you said you were dancing and jumping for almost 3+ hours. And you felt joyous, and people around you, and that changed your life in some ways.
At the end of the concert, I just looked, for 3+ hours, Bruce Springsteen's energy, enthusiasm, and humanity lifted me. For 3+ hours, he made me feel like I had a chance. He made me feel alive. And after the concert, I just stared down at the empty stage, shaking my head in disbelief that it was possible to feel so good, so happy, energetic. And so I had the opposite of anything I had ever felt before. It was just, and I'd only, I was there with my kids, and right before the concert, we were waiting for 2 or 3 hours. They started showing me wedding pictures and telling me stories because they just had their wedding 2 months earlier, but I didn't remember. And in one picture that they showed me, they're flanked on one side by her parents and the other side by, and they're beaming, both sets of, my husband's beaming her, and I'm just staring into the camera, trance like vacant. I'm not smiling. I wasn't there. I just, do you
I
know
get it.
what? And looking
Yes.
at that picture, I felt like a tourist in my own life. Do you know what it's like to
Mm,
be at your
mm,
kid's wedding, and you're looking at a picture of you and you're just
right.
looking like
I
you're
see.
a
Right.
zombie.
So your memory and all that, but then the Springsteen concert re-trigger something. And you talked
It
about
didn't
joy.
re-trigger. It just filled me with something I'd never experienced before.
Right.
So the
Exactly.
day I
So,
was driving home,
mm,
needed a lifeline really fast.
yes.
I'm not the kind of person who can just sit on the couch and
Mm,
alone and figure things. And I
of
thought, I
course.
remembered how hopeful and alive I felt at his concerts, and then he was touring in Australia in 4 months.
Ah.
And
Okay.
I, I
So,
hate to travel. I
I see.
hate to be alone. Had to known who this guy was, but I
Mm,
literally went home, didn't say
right.
hello to my dogs, and I Googled Australia travel agent,
Ah.
wrote to the first 5 who
Right.
appeared the next morning. One called me a week later, the trip was booked. And I was terrified. I was terrified for 4 months. If I could have just disappeared from this
No,
world,
exactly. Yeah. And I say you're a woman, you're a solo woman, a solo traveler. And you said you wanted to just basically work out, which I know you love exercise. You wanted to write and you wanted to follow his concerts, right? He had a bunch of concerts in Australia. And
right.
that's it. Because you said you don't like to sightsee and, see museums and all that. That's not you. So you decided to do that. And then you just took off for 26 days by yourself. No husband. Now, was your husband
No,
supportive?
no,
From
I
what?
asked him. I came home after I wrote to the track. He was on sabbatical. He's a professor. And
Ah,
I told him, he goes, I understand you. I said, you're on sabbatical. Will you go with me? He will do anything for me. And he said, I don't like Bruce Springsteen and I don't like stadium seats. I just head back. So, and then a month before the trip, he travels a lot. And this man would do anything he could for me for
hmm,
35 years of marriage.
yeah.
And I was watching him pack for a trip on a Sunday night. And then I thought, wait, why isn't he going with me? This is a man who, he couldn't help me emotionally, but so he would do whatever he could. So I went up to him and I said, Andy, why is it you won't go with me? And he looked down, he said, all right, I'll go. And we didn't move, and I'm looking up and he's looking down, and I just pictured him chasing, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to have enough problems over there worrying about me. I don't want
Right.
to have to work. And I went myself.
Understood. And now, I've written a few books on the critical inner voices that we have, thought demons or inner voices, whatever they call it. And he said, although you want to do this, part of your mind says, I'm chasing an aging rock star
The
across the world.
moment
What am I doing?
I got the itinerary, and I didn't even open it. I just shoved it in a drawer. And the minute the deal was sealed, and then it was like, Ann Abel, you are so pathetic that you have nothing better to do than chase an aging rock. And it just looped for over, but I didn't, and I couldn't shut it out. But I'm very disciplined. If I weren't disciplined, I wouldn't have had EC. And I don't let things that I'm afraid of, I don't not do them if I think they might help me. So even though I heard that horrible voice, I didn't let it stop me.
Exactly. So you're able to master that or at least control it for a period of time.
Or just listen to it.
Yeah. And how about being on your own, maybe even was there loneliness or any kind of isolation
Yes.
doing this trip?
Well, a couple things. First of all, as I say in the book, I was having problems with one of my sons. So, and he was like really pushing me closer to the abyss. And it was amazing. Over 26 days, the only people I talked to, except for an occasional concert seat me, were people, at the desk, or people I was paying for, a service. And over the course of 26 days, I found myself getting exponentially more lonely. But what I learned was, and I would sometimes start to feel like I was moving toward the abyss, I learned to deal with it by myself. I just learned
Ah,
to deal
okay.
with it.
Hmm. Now I wrote a book called Love Types on Myers-Briggs and personality types. You remember heard of the Myers-Briggs to talk about
Of course. I took
extrovert,
one when
so
I
forth.
came home. I took one of them when I came
I
home.
see. So, for example, internal energy people, they like to be more on them by themselves, and they may not reach out to others socially as much. Extroverts, though, can talk to anyone. They can, socialize. So, would you say you're more internal or external
Yeah,
energy?
I'll tell you, until I came back from the trip when I took a Myers-Briggs test,
Right.
this we always thought I was an introvert, but it turns
Sure.
out I was an
Mm.
extrovert in depressed
Oh,
person's clothing.
well, that's very
So we
interesting. Yeah,
came back, and
happens sometimes.
actually, my husband and I had been married 35 years, but we were at each other's. He had a divorce lawyer for 2 years. We didn't know if it
Oh,
was gonna. So we each
sure.
took. So a
Mm.
therapist suggested that we each take a Myers-Briggs test. Turns out,
Oh, okay.
big
Huh.
surprise, not a surprise. He's an introvert.
Oh, I
I was an
see.
extrovert, so we,
Ah,
we use that to
yeah,
help.
that's interesting. Yeah, in my research, that's actually extrovert females have the most trouble with introvert males in chores, communication, finances, sex, and other things, unless they respect each other's style. Because she's the one who talks a lot, and she kind of like almost controls the situation. He's kind of more maybe passive in some ways, but he can be very strong. But they have to understand each other.
47 years now.
Yes, that makes
47.
sense. Yeah, but going back to Australia, so you're by yourself traveling. Extroverts can make friends, though. I mean, they can socialize. It can be a coffee shop. Were you that way, or were you not as
Well, a couple
social?
things. The only thing I ever liked to do was be a fly on a wall. I mean, I just, and I won't go into the details of that, but then I get
Sure.
to Australia. It turns out I'm in the same hotels as Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. So first
Oh.
of all, not only am I there, but I also am apparently invisible, because I would literally sit down on a couch next to Max Weinberg, the drummer, or whoever, and listen to their conversation. I would be touching. We would be shoulder to shoulder. They
Oh,
wouldn't even notice me. So it was like really fun, to be watching these people that I'd see
well,
on stage, and then to be
that's very
listening.
cool.
One day
Right.
I followed two of them out. They were putting their bags in a
Ah,
van.
right.
And again, we're back to back. My back is to their backs. And I hear one say to the other, after the last concert, he came into the bar and said we were 5 beats off in the fifth measure or something like that. It
Very
was like,
interesting. I
and
see.
then they would discuss, and then Max Weinberg said, yeah, my earpiece wasn't really
Ah,
working. But I mean, so that was like amazing. That was really fun, you
Let's
know?
talk a little bit about, I mean, Mysteries. I don't know a lot about him. I know a couple of songs. I know Born in the USA. And I remember he did the We Are the World where he kind of belted out a big part of it.
Uh-huh.
Is there a song? Do you sing at all? Can you sing us a little something, Bruce?
No,
That
I'm
you like?
not going to sing any, but I'll tell you a few songs. There were moments, there were many okay, I came
Born
home
in
a
the
different person.
USA, right?
No,
Born in
that
the. Oh,
wasn't one of them. Nope. So first of all, it was the kindness of strangers in Australia who had a big impact on me. At home, people rolled their eyes that I was chasing this rock star across the world. They
sure.
didn't appreciate that I was fighting for my life. And
Ah,
I was embarrassed when I got on the plane to go to Australia. The flight attendant said, "So why are you coming here?" And I just winced. I was so embarrassed to tell her. And her eyes lit up, and she said, "Oh, you're so courageous." And then one of our colleagues a couple hours later comes over and said, "I hear what you're doing."
boy,
So,
man, you didn't answer my question. What's your favorite song? Do you have a song that you
oh
like
yeah,
about
so
me?
Dream
Yeah.
Baby
Yeah.
Dream, which is a cover of his cover.
Okay.
That's actually in my audiobook. That's the
Right.
intro and outro.
Mhm. Right.
Because and it's his cover, and
Okay.
that's the one, like, that really resonated. The night he sang that, I realized I'd never even thought about dreaming. And watching him sing that song that night, I floated out of the arena feeling like I could dream. It didn't happen right away, but I believe
Mhm.
that once you feel something, it's
Mhm.
easier to recreate it. I'll tell you, another night he went back and forth across the stage saying over and over, "How do you get through the day and stay alive inside?" And hearing him say this, I thought, if Bruce Springsteen can say this to an arena full of fans, I must not be the only one feeling like this. It's okay to struggle and to try and try again. I felt validated. So, and of course he's fun. When he said, I had never done the 3-letter F word, fun, until I went to one of his concerts, really. I still don't do it very well.
Right.
When he's saying I remember exactly, it took me a while to be able to understand the lyrics. But when he's saying it's all right to have a good time, I took it to heart, and it was okay for me to have fun finally after 60 years. So
That's interesting.
things like this just
Right. So some of those words resonated, I mean, therapeutically, possibly. And also the environment, were people very connected? Did you feel some kind of group energy there?
Yeah, of course. I tried to talk to their seatmates, but there's some weird woman sitting there alone. They're there with their friends. Generally, they wanted to talk with the people they came. But can I tell you, one of my favorite stories, I got there and I was sitting next to this man. He was in his 80s. And I said, "Oh, have you ever been to a?" No, no. "Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it." Springsteen comes out. He almost collapses on the stage. He's just moaning. I mean, it was like, what's he doing? And I looked at this 80-year-old man and he's like, this is not impressive. And then typical Bruce Springsteen. So we're all there just watching him like kind of implode. And all of a sudden, I don't know how he does it. He just rises from the ashes and we're all jumping. And at the end of the evening, the man said to me, this was an experience of a lifetime. So that's Bruce Springsteen.
That's amazing. So what do you think about him? Is his personality? You said something about him being gracious or human.
I think for
What is it
me,
about?
I don't know what he's like. I don't think he gets up in the morning, opens his window, and says, "Is there anybody alive out there?" I don't know what he's like as a private person, but his persona on stage, his magic lifts me. To me, he creates magic on stage, and
Yes.
I experience things I've never felt before through his music, through him on stage.
Yes. And what was was there one experience that really resonated with you that you remember from this experience, the days you were there, that gave you like a realization that something was new?
I mean, it was a series of things. And at one point I was standing in the lobby and I overheard because that's what I do. I hear conversations and I turn on, we started talking, and it was his co-manager of 35 years. And, I would see her periodically over the trip, and she had a very sad story about a daughter who had died. And she invited me to come to a gala in New York that they raised money for this for medical research. And I went, and then I bid on co-hosting an E Street radio show, and I went on there, and it was an amazing experience. Like I studied I knew nothing. I hadn't known who Bruce Springsteen was a year earlier.
Wow.
And it's the last chapter of the book. I'm not going to go into it now.
I said, well, yeah, don't give away that. Now, let's say that we have listeners on the show. We have all age ranges, and someone says, I'm just too old to learn a new skill, to travel. Tell us about that.
All right. I am 72, and I just did a TEDx talk 3 days ago. The topic was innovation and hope, and they reached out to me to do this. Everyone else was talking about AI, tech, medical. You know what my innovation was? That that's what the organizer said. You stepped outside the box and you went to Australia. Now, I will tell you, the transformation that began when I went to Australia continues today. I've had 2 books published in the last year. I have over 720,000 followers on social media. And I moved from Philadelphia to Chicago, and now we live in New York City. I mean, and it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. So it's never and I feel I don't think you ever get over depression, at least not the kind of depression I have, but I am so much better. And I am living proof. And there's 4 things that I've figured out you need for these transformations. One is a connection. You need to make a connection with someone or something.
Yes.
You need to persevere. You have to keep trying. You can't just, you have to be open when you're trying and you're out there. If I had gone to that first concert and when it started and I couldn't talk to my kids anymore, if I had just crossed my arms and said, okay, I'm just going to cover my ears. You have to be open, and you have to have hope. You have to have some hope. Hope makes the perseverance. So those 4 things I think are really important in helping to bring about a transformation. And you don't need to know where you're going. Even if you don't know the path, if you can't see the path to transformation, just take a first step toward a connection. to someone or something and then persevere. But you don't need to see the end of the road. You just need to baby step your way forward.
I like that. Very beautiful. So 4-step connection, persevere, openness, and hope. And but one of the things that really stops a lot of people is the fear. And some people are what we call security seekers, where they have to know what's going to happen, and they're afraid that something is going to happen, or they're even maybe a little pessimistic. They look at the worst possibilities, so therefore they become paralyzed. Were you either any of those? Were you a security seeker or a pessimist?
How do you think I felt going impatient the first time, knowing I was going to have ECT, and then you go down there, they put the stuff in your temples, and they put the electrode. Do you know how terrifying that is?
Yes.
I mean, think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo. That's all you're thinking. But
Sure. Right.
But I did it because they told me it might help. You just do it. And the other thing I really believe is, the most important thing is to just try your best. Because if you try your best, even if you fail, that's all any of us can do is try our best. That's all you can do. And if you do that, you have the self-respect that you tried. And if you get scared, then, you can't do it, then do it, try it again, or try to figure out what you need to do to make it a little less scary.
I like that. That's really nice. Very practical advice. I say act despite the fear, but I like the idea, to keep taking those little steps, despite the fear, right? Because, people have a lot of fear.
Oh, are you kidding? I was terrified. I was terrified. Like I said, if I could have just disappeared from this earth and not left anyone sad behind me, rather than continue with my life or go on this trip, I would have preferred that, but that wasn't an option.
Right, exactly. So that's a powerful takeaway. So is there one phrase or one line from the whole experience? What would you say to people to inspire them to do something?
It is just never too late. It isn't. I know it sounds like a cliche, but look, this all happened to me I'm a social media, just in the last year, I became a social media, just promoting my book. And then my parents told me until the day they died, they told me not to talk to them because I had nothing interesting to say. But then I started telling stories, and people loved the stories. And, just keep trying, figure out what it is you want, the story you want to tell.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. But, in the Eastern philosophy, martial arts is a term called the hara, which is a point to instance below your navel. It's kind of your gut feeling, your chakra. So, kind of intuition, right? So,
yes.
To listen to that intuition, it sounds like you're clear on that, right? You said, I want to ride, travel, and Springsteen, right? And that's it.
Yeah, it was like, and my husband and I are opposite because he has to think, and, he's very logical, whereas I'm very intuitive. And I mean, everything, the house we buy, the city, I'm like, okay, we'll move to New York. And it was the right thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very.
So how did you learn to trust your intuition? Because a lot of people are afraid. They don't really trust it. Should I go to this thing that you're talking about? I'm not sure. What was the thing that helped you?
I guess it's just how you feel. And look, I went to an event last night. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go at all. But I went, and did I love it? No. And I actually left early, but I went, I went. Right. And I don't have to wonder, did I miss anything? But I didn't want it. It's Friday night. It was a long week, and I was alone. It was cold.
Okay.
I went. And you know what? Then I'm like, you don't need to go. You're 72. You don't have to do things you don't want to do. But
okay.
Then I would have wondered, what did I miss? I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah, the internal energy people, which I write about, they don't want to go out that much, right? But if they force themselves, sometimes actually it's good because they extend their comfort zone and their energy.
Exactly.
And they realize, hey, maybe something could come out of this, possibly.
Yes.
Even though if I don't feel
some
like
woman came up to me, she recognized me from social media. It was like, wow, and
there you go.
You don't know. If you don't go out and do it, if you, you need, I don't know, for me.
Right. If you don't do it, you don't know, right? But at least whatever happens. So what would be what's your next bold adventure? Is there something that you are
that's the $1 million
about?
question. The second book just came out in September, and this TEDx talk was kind of the end of the big.
Yes.
Me giving a TEDx talk, I didn't even know what
cool.
TEDx. But and I did it. They're all doctors
Oh,
and lawyer. Not legal, but
what was the topic of your talk, by the way, or the title of it?
the transformation, the four, just what I was saying.
Oh,
The 4 guiding principles to a transformation. I think
organic
that's
principle.
the
Okay,
title.
that's pretty cool. So that came out, and then are you going to
That
go to
was Thursday.
Alaska?
That was Wednesday.
Are you going to Alaska to meditate with the polar bears or
Well, I'm
something?
actually going to. I don't like to travel, but
Ah,
I still don't like to travel, but
mm,
last June, my husband had to go to Paris to give a paper, and we've been running around doing social media posts here in New York, and people
yeah,
love them. So someone
yeah.
said to me, and I would never go out to these places
Mhm.
on my own, but people like seeing them, and so I like to share. I figured
Sure,
out I really love sharing. So if people, it makes it more fun for me
right,
to go to these places and to do a video and share it. So
of
someone said,
course.
well, you should go to Paris with Andy and you should do videos. So I and this young 20-year-old social media person, he's a computer, so we went. And guess what? We're going to Japan in May. He
Talking, okay,
says,
Japanese.
and Japan's viral. So I still don't like to travel, but I'm going. And you know what? It's
So
good
now,
for
what is you
me.
like to travel? Is it the airplanes? Is the time invested? What
I
is it?
have to work out every single day. If I don't
Oh, I
work
see.
out,
Ah, ah,
at 72, there are times like I had 2 back
mm,
surgeries or, things
right.
go wrong and I can't,
Sure.
and it's really
Oh,
hard
okay.
for me. So,
Right.
so whether
Right.
you're jet lag, I always have to work out. So
Right. Of course.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I like my little house. I don't
I
need,
see your comfort
I
zone. Okay.
don't like sightseeing, but you know what?
Okay.
It's good for me. And when I come back, I'm glad I went, but I'm
Yeah, I think that's
going.
good.
I'm
Oh,
going.
okay. There
Look,
you go.
I'm
All right. So,
72. If I don't go now, I don't know when I'm going to go.
yeah, I like that. Optimistic, hopeful, and yeah, open.
I
Right. Those are the things.
try.
Yeah.
If I write a third not if I write a third memoir, it's going to be
Ah,
called She Tried and She Tried and She Tried. And the only non-negative word my parents ever used to describe me was persevering. And that's what I do. I
that's pretty
persevere.
cool. You said that was a negative word or a word
No,
they
it's the
describe?
only non-negative word they
Oh,
ever
non-negative.
used.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. So you eventually get to the end of the road. The turtle gets to the race, right? At some point, hopefully.
It's
Yeah.
72, maybe 80. I don't know.
That's not bad. Keep well, I'm very happy. You're really doing a lot to help people, to help, a lot of people that need inspiration.
I can't tell you
Uh,
how many, when I first started going on the social media, it was surreal. People were writing, and your voice is soothing, it's calming, you're inspiring. And finally, I didn't understand it. Like, I'm just talking. I'm the
Sure.
person my parents said, shut up, you have nothing to say. So one day I just said to this woman, what is it about me? So she wrote to me on my website. She said, I'm 82. I have late stage lupus. And now that I've seen you, you give me inspiration to get up in the morning. And she writes to me I mean, she said, I had a terrible childhood, but I could never overcome it. She's 82. She said, I could never overcome it. But listening to
Which,
you, I
right,
realized I don't have to live with that every day. So
right,
how
beautiful.
wonderful
Yeah,
is that? That just by
I see.
sharing and actually my on my tagline somewhere, it's sharing stories, finding hope.
Ah,
I really believe
beautiful.
that by sharing our stories with one another, we can
Yeah,
offer each other inspiration,
right,
validation, and even
right,
fun sometimes.
exactly. And by the way, is Bruce still performing? Do you still want to see him if he does?
I'm not as like committed to him. I mean,
Mm.
it was a phase a little bit.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
it was a phase.
I see. Okay, so you're gonna find
I
a
still
new,
listen to him.
rock star
I listen
person.
to the same album for 10 years now when I work out. I
Oh, okay.
can't
So,
work
so
out
you still
without
like it? You
that.
still like his music?
Yes, yes, yes.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. And where can people hear more about you? Do you have a website or the
Yeah,
book and all that
so
kind of stuff?
you
Yeah.
can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. It's Anne, ANNESIMAABEL. That's my handle.
Okay.
And my website, everything's on my website. It's
Hmm.
Anne, ANNE, Abel, ABEL, author.com. And
Oh, perfect.
everything's there.
Excellent. Now, we sometimes when I run contests about hope or other stuff, and we give away like my book. Would you be open to giving away one free book to
I
our
would
contest winner?
absolutely, and I give
Yeah.
away Maddie, Milo, Me, and High Hopes would be
Oh,
perfect with the name.
okay. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I would love that.
I like that. So hope. I like the high hope is a great title, and I think we need that. And here at Love University, our topic is loving yourself, others, and the higher nature. So loving yourself, I think, is a lot of the message you're saying to people is to believe in yourself, right? Your intuition,
Yes.
your gut, and also to act upon it with, even though fear tries to intrude the negative inner voices, but to transcend those and to push yourself out of that zone that you are in right now to maybe a higher zone. So that's a great message. And thank you for being on the show. We appreciate it. Maybe come back when you come back from Japan or something. We'd love to have you back.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Have a good day. Until next time. That was a great interview with Abel, who took a miraculous inner journey, which really was the most important part, from her depression, her fear, to something wonderful, to hope. And she did it using the vehicle of music and concerts, Bruce Springsteen in this case, and traveling to Australia. But it really doesn't matter where you go externally. The key is where you go internally. For some people, it could be staying home, writing something, taking care of their families, starting a business, doing something creative, inventing something, gardening, whatever it might be, something you want to try. Maybe work with animals or other things. But the key is to find that, like you said, the inner passion. Go to your hana, right? The inner 2 inches below your navel is the inner point of intuition and guidance. Follow that, despite the fear. And when you do that, you will love yourself, and then you can love others and the higher nature. So Dr. Alex Avila, follow us on the media links below. Until next time, put away your notebooks, your iPads, your phone. Class is now dismissed.